This is going to be a quick one, and I actually mean that. I woke up feeling like I and the collective needs like a fun pick-me-up. You know, I don't know what that means with regard to the Capricorn energy, the seriousness of that energy, and then also some of the other things that I was feeling and thinking about, feeling into and thinking about. Not to mention, I had a peculiar dream in which I was with a group of people in a big area, almost like a Home Depot. Not in the fact that it was a store that sold home renovation type stuff, but the fact that there were aisles and industrial structures. It was like a city. It was like a Home Depot store where people lived. Strange. But I was ingesting LSD with these people, and I remember thinking, like, I don't want that much. And then I accidentally ended up taking a fair amount, and throughout the course of the dream, the way that I was dreaming was influenced by the LSD that I had taken in the dream, so that I was like tripping out in the dream. But my mind, I have not taken LSD recently, not for years probably. Yes, I can say that truthfully, not for years. So it's just interesting that my dreaming, sleeping mind could reflect the altered experience, but I haven't actually taken any substances, and as a symbol, it's like we need to think outside the box right now in a few different ways. The application of that is manifold, multifold. I think it's July 4th, 2023, and I'm thinking about the notion of freedom and how a lot of people just kind of celebrate this holiday, and they're very like, America, and it's like, America's not really a place that is celebrating freedom right now. And I talked about this a little bit with some of like the worldly stuff that's shifting, and how we can look to China or other countries where the people are already under a fair amount of control and limitation, but just not being aloof or not being unconscious and autopilot-y and unaware of how things around the world are shaping to create a more controlled people. And this is super random, but I saw something on Instagram this morning about how, for parenting techniques, it may be a popular opinion, but it was a father talking about how he lets his daughters question all of the rules that he makes for them, not because he's engendering any type of acceptance around disobedience, but blindly obedient people are easy to control. And it's actually a sign of intelligence to question rules and things. So I know this is already like totally convoluted, but all of it fits together because it's the energy that's present right now. So there's a lot going on. And I almost just want to be like, the mood around today and around the rest of, we're going into July, right? It is July. We're in it. Just a need for just to be a little bit lighter and a little bit sillier. Like, I always get into a depressive lull after I go on international travel, because it's like, I have to think about the things again. I have to do the things again. I have to rise to the challenge of my own life and, like, you know, keep myself afloat and earn money and connect with people and apply myself, instead of just purely being a little creatress on vacation, which, you know, maybe I'll live my life like that more consistently one day. Everybody aspires to kind of live as if they're always on vacation, but I don't want to do that ever in a self-indulgent way. I always want to be able to apply myself and work hard and learn and contribute to society. And so I'm going to keep pushing for that, because my dreams and my goals and my preferred way of living is not going to be like totally escapist. It's going to be so that I can help the world in the way that I believe I was designed to, with the things that I can do, right? I want to be an artist. I want to be an artist who speaks and travels and makes things and uses all of the potentially shunned gifts and intel As the world starts to accommodate the intuitive gifts of people, I want to be a little bit more, I guess, confident in seeing that there are certain things that I can offer that used to be parts of me that I shut down. So there might be a message within that for somebody listening to this. Parts of yourself that you've shut down that are worthwhile. They're of value to the people around you. They're of value to yourself. Okay, let's see what you want. I'm just looking to get a quick energy reading card pull. I wanted to put a video for today into my YouTube channel timeline to mark, like a bookmark, because I was talking about the full moon for weeks, right? I was in Italy like, oh, it's going to culminate at the full moon, blah, blah, blah. And then I did a full moon reading yesterday, which was kind of intense. And now today, I just want to put my energy in a little time capsule in the form of this video onto my YouTube channel feed, regardless of what comes out, because I think it is kind of a tipping pointy little moment in time. A little bit of a little tipping point. All right, what do we got? Oh. First card came out was the Empress. The Empress, okay. But then we also had the Nine of Swords and the Two of Swords. I'm filming off of my iPad because it was just a really poor quality yesterday. Also, like, self-care. I'm getting in need. Of course, my bags arrived. Late last night, they were delivered right to my doorstep. And I had mentioned, like, I gotta have to turn that whole situation over to the universe. Me agonizing over it, worrying, it's just not gonna do any good. I just had to be like, you know what? I know that they'll get here whenever they get here. And they got here. It's pretty good timing, I would say, especially because they were like, oh, well, they're still in Paris. Or at first they were like, we have no idea where they are. And after that, I was told that they were still overseas. And then miraculously last night, I got them. So here we go. The Empress. This is ultimate divine, feminine, abundant, creative energy, not needing anything, not having any sense of lack, being fully self-possessed and capable of handling anything that may arise, because it's not like she lives in this fairy tale world. Yes, her radiant energy creates more miracle stuff around her, right? Because she's the center of she's a fulcrum, she's a point in the space-time continuum, and how she contributes to the space around her shapes the things that happen around her, but it doesn't mean that she's exempt from the challenges of the world or other people's negative energy or the chaos that just is a natural kind of unfolding part of being alive today. But she lets her inner world contribute far more to how she shows up than she lets the outer world affect her. Okay, so the other swords cards, this again is being trapped, okay? Look to free yourself from the ways that you're still holding yourself back. Each and every new day, when people wake up, that's a pivotal moment for you to be like, I'm just gonna try to look on the bright side today, and I do have obligations, and I do have places to go, and I do have to do these things. But I'm not gonna let those outside external factors bind me. I almost see this, right? She's not even looking at the sea or the mountains behind her or the moon. She's got a blindfold on. She's going inwards. So on the one hand, the interpretation is set yourself free. She's got the swords. She can take the blindfold off and reintegrate with the world around her. But don't be afraid to be like a dreamer. Don't be afraid to go into a space of choosing from within how you're going to. I'm getting a Nelson Mandela quote. Winners are the daydreamers who never gave up. Winners are the daydreamers who never gave up. In order to succeed, you have to unhinge yourself a little bit from the stuff that's chaos around you. Look, right? These mythical illusions, the fear of anything and everything that is going wrong or could go wrong is plaguing this woman into a state of inactivity. This is also the horrors that she wakes up from her nightmares with lingering thoughts of. You have to be a little bit in a mental energy of daydreaminess in order to access a future that doesn't exist yet. People like to say everything that exists now was once just a thought. It was once just imagined. Excuse me, the children are quarreling. They haven't seen each other in a while. Mutt? Hey. They have such strong, like, sibling energy, like. So this light, the inner light from the Empress that shines out from her heart space is brighter than all of the illusion. It's brighter than all of the stuckness, okay? So connect today with your ability to take something that isn't real, but something that you want for yourself, something that you're working towards. Let that belief be brighter and stronger than all of the shit that's going wrong. And I also see that as like, I feel a little bit bitter about the whole, like, I don't know, America, 4th of July, blah, 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 whatever. It's what I talked about yesterday, in that you have to let, I have a lot of cards actually that came out, so I should probably go through those first. Let there be some type of hope. Okay, this is just overwhelming now. I should probably, in fact, put them all back, but I'm not going to. Ridiculous, because okay, maybe I'm bad at shuffling. Maybe I'm bad at shuffling. Nope, what I'm hearing is nope, because you saw how many times I shuffled. It's just uncanny. Maybe I'm bad at shuffling, but also there are some themes right now in the energy. Okay, so they came out in 3 separate batches. We have 4 cards, then 2 cards, then another 4 cards. I'm sorry, 5. Let there be some kind of sense of hope, even when, if you're at a point in time where it's like there's no more latitude to move in a certain direction, be that with a way of thinking, be that with a way of doing. And so you may have to go in a different direction. There's hesitancy to doing that because there's stuff that's unknown. You can still find a way to move through the fear, and then on the other side of fear, there's a little bit of excitement around possibility. And I think that we are, what's at the bottom of the deck? Setting ourselves free to be able to move towards all of that. I see this as a very ironic holiday. This is kind of an ironic 4th of July. Okay? So literally all the cards from all the readings that I was doing for the past 2 weeks fell out all at the same time. We've got hard work and dedication that's aimed at a wish or a North Star with the Star card and the 8 of Pentacles. We've got emotional seeking, tapping into what we truly want, potentially going somewhere new emotionally, which also feels foreign and intimidating, because even if you've been in a toxic dynamic, even if you've been, say you were in a very abusive relationship, it's still hard to leave that because there was comfort and familiarity within it. Yeah, sometimes we don't recognize that there are parts of us, even if they are subconscious, that like things that are bad for us. But once you know that something's bad for you and you keep doing it, the universe will start to send you, some stuff. And by that I mean things will start to, kind of go wrong for you. And then we've got the 3 of Pentacles again. This came out yesterday, but in the reading from yesterday, I used this deck, and the 3 of Pentacles was depicted as a solo character. And so, knowing that the things that we want, the things that we're working on achieving in our lives, there is space for other people within that. And then we have the King of Cups that came out, okay? A loving energy that's ready to give from a heart-centered space. He's like a confident, obviously a masculine energy, but not in like again, I used this word yesterday, not in a punishing way. And he's fully freed of any of the past hurts. Any of the past hurts or the past fears. I'm also getting a bit of a 10 of Wands energy off of this, even though this is the 10 of Swords. So this is like the emotional baggage from the past. Actually, I mean, with Swords, it's not even really. It's just the end of a journey and everything that comes with that. But the 10 of Wands is where he's trying to carry all the wands up the mountain. Excuse me. And it's like, why are you trying to carry so much baggage from the past into your new chapter? Do you think that it has something to do with your identity? Do you think it has something to do with needing to prove to people that you've been through something? This kind of brings to mind again what I talked about, where oversharing or talking about your own trauma is a trauma response, because you feel like people need to know what you've been through, or that you've been through anything at all, in order for you to make sense, right? In order for how you are to make sense to other people. But life is not about being understood by other people. It's about understanding yourself and then doing what you want to do, and creating what you want to create from a healed place, whatever that means for you. Okay, so we got the Three of Swords yesterday too from the other deck, and we saw it depicted a little bit differently because it was a stag that had been stabbed. In fact, it looked a little bit more like this from that other deck. Here we can see that there still is a little bit of that like soreness or sadness around, because in the spirit body, right, swords, that's still a violent presence, right? There's still pain there, but look what it came out with. The sun. The most radiant, beautiful card in the deck, because the sun, like I've been talking about with, I posted the TikTok that I had referenced 2 days earlier about astrology, and I don't know who voices it over, but it was something that somebody sent to me that I liked. The sun sustains all life on Earth. There is nothing that's unaffected by it, okay? Even certain species, like the star-nosed mole or worms, things that don't have eyes, things that are of the earth and they are underground, or they do have a nocturnal way about them, they still respond to the sun in nature of avoidance of it. Everything kind of moves around this light that you cannot hide from. And I do resonate very deeply with star-nosed mole energy, because it is a creature that uses a fleshy appendage, a sensory thing, to make its way through the earth. So its navigation system is through feeling. And I don't really need to explain, I think, why that resonates with me. I'm incredibly intuitively led. And so my life is always fresh and interesting, because I'm not in a asleep state of repetitive, why is this happening to me type of thing. If something is happening to me, I do ask why it's happening, but then I feel like I'm easily able to course correct and be like, well, I don't want this to happen again, so how do I not repeat it? What was my part in it? We've got the Two of Wands again, and I realized, because I watched the video back a little bit, I called the Two of Pentacles from yesterday's reading the Two of Wands, which was like a Freudian slip. But there was something to that, because this energy's been present the whole time. Two of Pentacles, Two of Wands, two different paths, choices and decisions. This is kind of cool. I see it as a, excuse me, sir. Do you see what I mean? Even within my own household this morning, and I'm the only one who lives here, right? There's a playfulness. There's an energy of like, things are moving and shifting again. If you can't see it yet in your life, don't worry. Just keep thinking about what you do want to create, because this is the long game. It's not like everything's going to change. It's not like if you don't feel it yet, it's not happening. Potentially a new way of articulating your own truth. This could be to yourself, or it could be to other people. Maybe all of the things that are happening in your life right now make you want to, who knows? That's up for you to decide. I do want to get a clarifier on, let's say, the Ace of Swords and the Three of Swords. Although I don't really have many questions about the Three of Swords. I think it's just that because this is such a big chapter, it's such a big time of transformation, you can't just operate without fear. You simply can't. It's part of being a human. It's gonna be there, but guess what else is here? I've been waiting for these two cards to be together for a very long time, because those other ones, even though there's three, you know, those other ones, there's nothing that can stand up to this type of pairing. This positive energy is greater than the negative energy. And I think it has to go back to what I was talking about yesterday with the cool riverbed and the slate underneath the waters of the ego and the chaos and the stuff that distracts you, that constantly moving, ever-changing stuff that's more available. You have to sink into a deeper place to connect with that. That's what these positive energies are in this transit right now. They're not going to come out and be like, we're here to change your life. That's not how it's going to go, because you have to choose to go to them and be like, I'm going to connect with that. You know, the intuition, the truth, the stuff that is really going to be the compass and the guidance and the way out of the stuckness, the way out. You have to choose to go to the alternative mental place, the alternative choice. I've been talking about this for a long time, in that you're always going to get to a crossroads, and you can keep going down the same path again and again and again if you want to, but you're going to start to not want to. In fact, you're going to get to a point where you're bothering yourself, and that's not a good place to be in. If you are irritated with yourself, then you have to go back into a place of being ultimately extremely compassionate with yourself and being like, hey, I see you, and it's okay. And this is self-talk, okay? It's okay that you're doing things this way, but no one's gonna come hold your hand and walk you out of the maze. You know, that's gonna be a process that you need to detangle within yourself and for yourself. And it feels like dying, right? Death and rebirth is coming up again for me. It feels like impossible, but that's because you haven't really done it before. I'm seeing us people in the world changing a lot of things that we've done the same way for a very long time for our highest good and a huge amount of personal and spiritual fulfillment. Yeah, I guess I'd like another card about that. And then I am going to get a Starseed Oracle. And it's already 21 minutes, but this will still be shorter than the long ones I've been doing recently, because I'm going to go on my little road trip. I'm going to keep on going here and just have some fun today. And by that, I mean I'm going to drive with the windows down, and I'm going to put on music, and I'm going to sing. And it's sunny, and I'm going to get... an iced coffee. One day at a time, one moment at a time. I have things to worry about. I have to return to a job that I kind of don't want to go back to. At the same time, I love it, but it's the nature of how I'm expending my energy. And I need to be able to cultivate a way to be my freest, truest, most happy and fulfilled self in the structures of my life as they are now, because only then can I start to change those structures. Not by abandoning them, but to exist with the same energy that I do when I'm on vacation, when I'm in my quote unquote like normal life, or whatever that even means, so that there is more longitude for those things to start to be a manifold reflection of what it is that I want, right? I'm basically saying I want my life to reflect how I am, so that I can be how I want to be. If you think your life has to be different in order for you to feel differently about your life, then you will never be able to change your life, because you're expecting for the external pentacle, a new beginning, to just come to you, when you are the one that's continuing to carry a lot of the threads that are even stitching the external world into your reality. You play a part in that. You play a part in that. I'd like to take a new tone when it comes to how I do my day job, or even how I treat the burdensome responsibilities of being a human, right? Finances, planning. How are you gonna, be a responsible adult? These are the questions that I ask myself, because I'm still trying to figure that out. I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people, especially in the day and age of like being like, I've got it all sorted out, my life is great, look at me. I certainly don't. It may look like that from the outside, but it's okay to not know. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to not like how things are, and be able to admit that and not be ashamed about that. Justice is here to help us do all of this. There's a cosmic restructuring taking place. Why? Because of the new beginnings. Because of the new beginnings that are bringing us into more alignment with a sense of nostalgia and childlike wonder. And what's more beautiful about this, on top of the idea of the new beginning, is that it's going to bring us in alignment with people that we, like soul family stuff, right? This card can speak to past life connections. past life connections. I don't read reversals, but it's the Tower in reverse. Clarification, please, for the Tower. The world. What is it, boo-boo? It's this ultimate ending. He's such a funny dog. He's such a light in my life, this dog. He's the most special dog in the whole world. Oh. I have a postcard on my fridge and it says, everyone thinks that they have the best dog and none of them are wrong. There's a message within this too, right? Wherever you're at, that's the center of the universe. Wherever you find yourself, you are the part of the God consciousness quilt that has the consciousness in that place. The dog over there, he doesn't see through my eyes. I don't see through his eyes. His little world, he's the center of his world, right? And in his little world, because we have such attachment, me and this animal, I'm like the sun in his world, right? And he orbits around me, and there are different people and things in our lives, and we're realizing like, I need a healthier orbit. I want a more expansive orbit. Wheel of Fortune. Time has come where I see my life for what it is and what it could be, and that's really beautiful. Yes, it can be hard. 10, 10, endings, but 10 reduces to 2. With every ending there is a rebirth. The message could not be more clear. I've really kind of like driven it home to the point where I should probably just take a 2-week-long break. But doing these readings, I think I've said this before, if I do go into a state of channel where I'm trying to talk about things and understand things, sometimes I completely forget what I've said, and if I watch these back later, which I am doing for some of these videos, some of them I'm not watching back, but a lot of them I am, because then I'm like, I said it and I meant it like this, but it actually means that too, and I like that because it helps me understand that the reason why I'm doing this is so that people can interpret whatever it is that comes out in a way that they can apply to their own situation and their own life, because again, everybody's situations are so incredibly unique and different that it's almost a miracle that there even is collective energy to tap into. It's another one of those like catch-22s. We think that everything is isolated and our problems aren't shared or collective, and that can drive us into states of feeling like we're isolated from the people around us, but we're actually just different manifestations of the same energies acting in the world right now, which is another reason why astrology is important. Because those are some of the bigger celestial bodies that do dictate the cycles that we're in. Okay, 2 of these and then no more. And maybe it will be under an hour. Today's a good day. Let today be a good day for you, whatever that means. Even if it's already a horrible day and something went wrong, first of all, I'm sorry. 2828 when I look up, which is 1010, which reduces back down to 2, right? You can always start from the beginning again and be like, okay, I can accept that this happened. Whatever it is, even if you spilled your coffee, even if it's a small, or if you got a phone call and something really bad happened, right? Keep on moving through and infuse your day and your thoughts with a little bit of light today. Lightheartedness, back to that like childlike remembrance of a time where you didn't have that many burdens and whatnot. Haha. Loosen your grip. Coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. Yeah. I said this at the beginning of the reading. I said sometimes we don't want to let go of the things that are really bad for us. Breath of the cosmos. My will to thy will. Micromanaging the universe. Okay, I'm going to start by reading about this one because this one I'm already getting messages around. It has to do with like walking that fine line between having changes occur and welcoming the changes, but not dwelling in a space of attachment so that we can get emotional if things don't go the way that we think they're supposed to go. Oh. It's about being healthfully detached from outcomes, even though you're wanting things, so that you can allow for space of magic to take place, because that's really what the bigger force is, right? The universe. You just have to be a willing participant. You're so handsome. Would you like to come closer? You can sit here with me. Come here. Come here. That's all right. When we rely on our own will, we're micromanaging the universe and resisting the natural flow of life. We're not trusting the mysterious breath of life. We're rejecting the great cosmic intelligence and relying instead on our personal strength. When we do this, we find ourselves attempting to bend things to our will. We spend our time forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to. Everyone around us can feel it, and the universe can too. You're being called to stop micromanaging the universe and trust the breath of life, to surrender to the greater will that God has for you, to move from my will to thy will. Okay, it's almost biblical, right? And people who talk about going to Jesus and finding Jesus, they say, I just surrendered my life and my purpose to God, and I said, like, God, use me for your purpose, right? People who follow Jesus say that, and they want for Jesus and God to guide their life. And although I'm not exclusively a follower of Jesus, I have a bigger belief system than is just the narrow lens of Christianity. I'm not saying that to be a Christian is to be narrow-minded at all. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I have a similar prayer, in that I want to be used as a force of good that can serve other people. And so it's like my will to thy will. Of course, I want things for myself, right? Like at this point, I want a piano. I'm allowed to want things as a human. I'm not a non-physical entity, I'm not living in the time of disciples of Jesus Christ. I don't have to surrender all my material possessions. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is that we have a lot of people that are starting to understand this world that's been funneled and squelched and distorted into this really truly sick and unwell society that's around consumerism and material gain and the capitalist shackles that, you can kind of be a both and, where it's like, yes, it's okay to want things and be in the world, but what is the purpose that I'm serving? Why is the reason, why is there a want for any of it? I also see this about, like, with my luggage. I didn't have it in me to care that much about that, even though it was the thing. When they told me my luggage was lost, and I hit my breaking point, I broke down crying. I didn't break down crying in front of the baggage guy, although that would have been okay. It's okay to be an emotional human. I went outside to do it. It was a controlled mental breakdown. I went outside to do it. People stared at me. I don't care. They didn't stare at me like, ew, what is she doing? They were like, aw, sad. But, because that was my breaking point, the rest of the experience was like, I turn this over. I can't be this sad or stressed about it, because that's just me trying to control what's happening. I have to trust that it's going to be delivered to me. And it was, in a very timely fashion. When you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing with the rest of life. Harmony. That's the name of this painting. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, please show me the way, little by little you find yourself living your most fulfilling, authentic life. When you surrender your personal will, when you relinquish control and release the way you think things should be and surrender to the greater will, you find yourself being led. You begin breathing life. You begin breathing the breath of life. I can't. Okay, so sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, okay, so maybe there was a time, or there was an understanding, or there was a point in history where it was like, and by history I mean like ancient history, like, please use me for the will of God. Like, that's an intense thing to request. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna have to, again, I said this earlier, surrender all your material goods and like become a nomad and not wear shoes and and read the Bible, it's much more about just being in alignment with your soul, because I've said this before too. It's like when you can be your best self, you uplift the people around you. They don't need to know about your spiritual inside world, because again, it's not the purpose of life and of knowing yourself is not to be understood by others. It's to understand yourself, so that there are less question marks of like, if I know that I'm coming from a love-based, compassionate, understanding place, then I'm confident about talking to people and engaging openly with the world, because I'm intentional about not harming others. I always want my presence in the world and how I contribute to things to be uplifting. Not everybody may feel that way, but I'm sharing that because that's part of like my mission. And also, not in like the aesthetic is here, but I've talked about this too before. Like, my aesthetic is a radical act and reclamation of being a kid who was born in the 90s and grew up with like the sparkles and the glitter. It's like, you know, it's the dichotomy of like, I'm a really deep thinker and I always have been, but it can be light as well. It doesn't have to be heavy, right? To go there, to go to the deep, you know, questions that some people try to avoid in life. All right, so for loosen your grip, we have coping mechanisms, density, and addiction. Let God in. We're cyclic beings, and Mother Earth teaches us how to be human every day with the coming and going of the tides and the seasons. If you're clinging to anything, you're resisting the natural flow of who you are. The things we cling to are so often those we most need to let go of. The food, the substances, the relationship, the job, the people-pleasing. The things we cling to often cover up our most vulnerable space, the part we're most afraid to leave empty, the part we guard and don't let grace into. But by keeping that space covered with something that doesn't serve us, or clinging to it for fear of not staying of its own accord, we prevent ourselves from receiving the things that will. A Course in Miracles tells us, whatever we leave empty, grace will fill. And the Buddha said, you can only lose what you cling to. Indeed, both are true. If this card appears, you're being called to find the courage to loosen your grip and give up control, to release your coping mechanisms and leave space for grace and God to enter, to surrender all that feels dense to the divine. Loosening your grip doesn't mean that what you're clinging to will go away. It may, or it might stay. But you can be sure that what is for you will find you, and you'll breathe easier knowing that you've shifted from relying on your own strength to surrendering to the grace of life. Yeah, and I also get with this that sometimes like we do want things, but we cling to things because we use the things that we cling to as an excuse for why we can't go towards the things that we actually want, if that makes sense. There's a lot of beauty in this. There's a lot of beauty in this time. Again, I'm seeing like this deep dichotomy between the light and the dark, and how the world and how the American culture in particular. Although if you're not of American culture, I'm sure that there is like some bleed through from other cultures, from America into other cultures, because I spoke on this in one of my Italy videos. I said it's just almost grotesque, like it's heinous to see a Starbucks and a McDonald's like in so close to the medieval castles, like just tarnishing and tainting the landscape. It really, really made me feel unwell, because it's like, ugh, like we have been stupefied into this state of wanting to self-medicate ourselves with whatever it may be. A lot of people have really unhealthy attachments to substances or drugs and alcohol or pornography or sex that's coming from like an unhealed coping mechanism-y type of place, you know, like unhealthy expressions of sexuality. Or screen time, right? Addictions, you can be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to anything, but if anything is done in excess or out of avoidance, then there's a part of your free will that you're employing to keep yourself from something that would be even better for you. The only reason why you're keeping yourself from it is because it would take some honesty that could be a little bit bitter, you know? It could humble you a little bit, and maybe you don't want to do that. to kind of admit like where you do have a lot of agency over these things, and that's incredibly exciting. So let it be that way. Don't let it be as dark as it feels, because again, what you feed is what's. I'm taking the cards out again, and I said, yeah, contemplative energy over new beginnings. The energy that you feed, so if you think it's dark and you're like, it's dark, blah, 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 so dark, then it will keep being dark. Choose a new tack. Choose a new tack. Again, 2 pages. Page of Pentacles, Page of Swords, beginner's mindset. Starting from a place of contemplative freshness. You have that within you. Even though it feels like the world's pretty claustrophobic right now and there's not a whole lot of space to move and discover new ways, that's a self-imposed limitation. The Hanged Man. You are the one suspending yourself. You can see things from a new point of view. And I'm not like, the world wants us to feel trapped. The things that are trying to take over, like again, thinking about how there's only really a handful of companies governing literally everything. There's huge monopolies on every corner of every market, you know, and they rely on our compliant participation and agreement in all of these systems. So in some ways, why would they want us to kind of break free and go grow our own food and live under the sun and be happy, prosperous beings? They wouldn't have any control or money or power anymore. So yeah, it's gonna be a little hard, but that's where I think a lot of people are moving towards. Throughout the month of July, there's going to be a lot more that's opening up as a result of these hard truths and learning. Yeah, 5 of Pentacles. Being left out in the cold, feeling like there isn't enough, that too is an illusion. We had the Empress and the Sun, and those 2 cards speak of unlimited abundance. King of Pentacles and ultimate stability. It's going to be okay. Going to be okay. It's going to require just a little bit of hard work. But that's why I said each and every day when you wake up, here's something, okay? The brain goes into a dream state. When the brain dreams and you have a good dream or something, you may be in a completely different emotional space, which is why too it's very, very important to make sure that whatever you're listening to, whatever you're thinking about before you go to sleep, is of a good quality. Be really careful if you do subliminal meditations on YouTube that you make sure what type of subliminal messaging that's actually conditioning into your brain. I'm going to start creating subliminal meditation recordings that you can trust are from a high vibrational place that's going to rewire your brain in a healthy way. I'm going to put them into a playlist and you can listen to them when you sleep or meditate. I made one, but then I listened to it back and I realized that it was way too fast and I need to come down to like a much slower speaking rate in order for it to have the desired effect. So I removed it from the channel. But sometimes we wake up and because our brains were untethered, our souls were untethered from the material shackles that keep us in these broken patterns and these things that don't serve us, waking up can feel like this, like I'm really still alive, like doing this. That's how it can be sometimes. And so what I'm getting is that each and every day you greet that type of feeling or heaviness of still being like the existential angst of still being alive. It hasn't stopped yet. The grand hallucination is still happening. Just find those itty bitty moments of like, this chair is kind of comfy. Or like, I don't know, make your screensaver on your phone a picture of a cute puppy or something. There are so many ways that you can bring light and love, like all the sparkly rainbow stuff, but I'm speaking to a much deeper, truer thing, It's not just about making it look pretty. My welts are starting to heal. I mean, they're not really. They're incredibly agitated, but you see, like, you can have pain and agitation and still choose to focus on the good, okay? So that was a lot, but with that, I'm going to get ready for my little road trip here with my road dog.